Okay, beautiful souls. I know it's been a minute, but I have been called to do a September energy forecast oracle reading for you. So, as always, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. These are the decks I was guided to use for this reading. We're going to use Kyle Gray, Angels and Ancestors, Beyond Lemuria deck. This is an intuitive deck, and then messages from the fairies. I had to giggle whenever I saw that one because I said, of course, because 80% of the population have fairy lineage. And it is some of those characteristics and traits right now that are really doing people a disservice because they don't understand where that energy is coming from. So it is my intention that you get some guidance, you get some clearance, you get some clarity on things that have been coming up in your field. And more importantly, you can sit back and just maybe have a laugh at things like, I thought maybe that was happening. I thought maybe that happened for a reason and go from there. It's meant not meant to be heavy, but these energy signature oracle readings that I do tend to really tap into the crux of the current energy vibe. By that, I mean this is usually some really good points of where your shadow work is, some areas where you're feeling the friction already because your soul is saying this is where we need to grow. This is what we need to let go of. And you may have noticed the nudges, maybe you didn't, but when you see it and hear it in a different format, your soul, your being resonates with it. So that is what I intend for you to have a very clear path for your September 2025. So let's begin with Beyond Lemuria. Remove all negative energy from this deck. I'll call on the angels, archangels, ascendant master, source creator, Mother Sophia, guides and emissaries that have positive and benevolent advice, guidance, and messages for the collective in this now moment for September 2025. It has been a big energy influx the last 24, 36 hours. That is not going to go away. If you are one that is heavily affected by the energies that you see spikes on the Schumann after you're like, man, I'm dizzy. Oh, I can't sleep. Or I'm sleeping all the time. I can't wake up. You are being affected by that. So it's one thing to go, oh, it's probably not related. But whenever you see the correlation from the energy spikes in the Schumann and how you're feeling, whatever that may be, out of the ordinary, and it's something you really don't feel like you're able to get on top of, the best thing I can recommend is to get your feet on the ground and get some grounding in, a minimum of 15 minutes. Take some Epsom salt baths or Himalayan salt baths and meditate. Hydrate with really good water. You can add some citrus to it if you like. But be mindful that these are our wake up codes, right? Our body is going to change every single time we get these big influxes of energy, whether you admit it or not. It's happening. All right, let's see what our Beyond Lemuria message is going to be. If you have never seen my energy signature readings before, I always pull 4 decks and I always ask, is this highest and best good for the collective or whomever I'm doing the reading for? My pendulum swings circles for yeses, back and forth for no. This first card I pulled is for the collective, highest and best. So I know that I have 4 cards that are highest and best for the collective. And that's how I do my readings. Vulnerability. Absolutely. So when we as a people engage with things that are not well understood, new or different, any way you want to present that, We have to free will choice our way into saying, am I going to make myself vulnerable to this new information? Which is to say, am I going to raise my hand and go, yeah, I never knew that before, or I didn't even know that was possible. And the next step in vulnerability is to go, okay, what does that mean for me? How does this change life for me? So when you are able to say, I don't know, but I would like to know more, that is a great thing to do. That's a great way to allow yourself to evolve and expand in your energy. But if you look at vulnerability as a weakness because your egoic mind is saying, we're not vulnerable because we know everything. And anything that we don't know, we're going to find in a book or on the internet, then you have some shadow work to do, because a truly high consciousness being understands that they never truly know everything. And there are always going to be moments that come along where we make ourselves more vulnerable because we want to become more enlightened. It's a give and take. So none of us travel through our many, many, many incarnations knowing everything. Otherwise, we would no longer need to incarnate. The vulnerability factor right now is at a fever pitch because there's so much coming in to our energy vortex that we have never experienced before in this life, or we don't have memory of. So there's no basis of foundation. There's no, oh, yeah, I know what that means and I know what to do now. What it's pushing forward to you is saying, you don't need to know, but let's explore it together. Vulnerability is not always a negative thing. Your ego will tell you that it is, because your ego likes to be in control of things, and there it really is no control. But that's a false construct. A next card, radical expansion. Yeah. And these go hand in hand, right? So you've got dragon energy, you've got crystal energy, you've got lotus energy in here. The dragons are here to remind us that everything is much, much bigger and more powerful than we were ever taught or told. So you allow yourself to be vulnerable to the fact that you don't know everything. And then you step one foot in front of that and you go, but I'd like to know more. Okay. So now you've opened up the door of radical expansion. What does this knowing more mean for me? Well, I can tell you first off, every single one of us have a fire dragon. You're coming to your incarnation with a fire dragon. They're there for you. They work with you, start to finish, whether you ever recognize them or not. But once you do recognize them and you call them in to work with you, this means that you can tap into the magic and the miracles that they help you see, sense, and feel. So your dragons they've been in and a part of our dimension now. We've invited them back in and removed lots and lots of curses and agreements and contracts that was laid upon them a few years ago. More and more people are becoming aware of their dragons and of the importance of the dragons and their beneficial and benevolence of the dragons. So when you look at this card, we have every color of the rainbow represented, and you could transfer that and say, this is all of my chakras, right? So all the way stellar star to earth star chakras, everything gets opened up in your radical expansion. Whenever you clear your chakras, whenever your chakras are able to vibrate at a higher frequency, it also allows for expansion. And you see this with anything that swirls. The more repetitions it makes, the bigger the swirl is. You see it in tornadoes, you see it in a glass of water. It gets demonstrated to you multiple ways in life, but we just don't connect the dots. Our radical expansion of our energy centers, of our chakras, are definitely tied to energy. And it's that energy that is asking to be cleared, cleaned, and set on the path to radical expansion, because that is whenever you figure out who and what you are and why you were put here. And this is the moment in time that we're all in. Surrender. Absolutely. When you see this position, like this position, if you're someone who does yoga or even gymnastics or anything like this, maybe even just stretching. In order to get into this back bend position, you are literally saying that I trust no harm will come to me when I'm completely exposed. And what part of you is most exposed? Your heart chakra, the thing that we most want to covet and protect. In order to have your radical expansion, we have to allow ourselves full and complete access to growth and energy with faith that the universe will take care of us and allow that vulnerability factor to come into play. And that does not mean that just because you're getting into this position that something bad will happen to you. It really means that this is a test of faith. If you're able to surrender to new and different information that's coming in, but it really, really resonates within your being and it feels more true to you than anything that you've ever encountered before, this allows you to get into this position of faith and say, I invite more into my being. This is the position of surrender to more. And you want to align yourself to that more is positive benevolence and in alignment to source creator. Unique gifts. Yeah, a lot of people's unique gifts, I translate them to be your clair abilities, your intuition. So your clair abilities, I mean your clairsentience, which is that you're feeling within your body a yes and a no, and this is good and this is not. Clairaudient is whenever you can hear your guides, you can hear tones, you can hear yeses and nos, you can hear your, for me, I'm having conversations with Sophia and Source and Metatron, my guides all the time. Clairvoyance is when you see the messages. Clairfactance whenever you smell the messages. And so your clairs, your unique gifts. What is unique about you? For me, some of my unique gifts is that I can see a mainstream like news expose or something in print or something online, and I can see through to the deeper meaning. I can see through to the dots that need to be connected. I can see that deeper truth there because my frequency is high enough that it cuts through the noise, like I say. But all of us are born with unique gifts. And the more that you allow yourself this radical expansion and your chakras to come online and everything's vibrating at a higher pace, then your unique gifts come online. They can't not come online, right? When you become unblocked, clear energy, your unique gifts surface. They were always yours. They were just suppressed. And so for a lot of people, they're now going, okay, I don't know if I'm losing my mind, but I'm definitely hearing voices that are not mine. No, you're not losing your mind. More often than not, that is your clairaudient ability, and you're literally hearing your guides try to give you their guidance throughout the day. Okay, let's go on to the intuitive card deck. And I made a post about this today on X. Remove all negative energy from this deck because people want to know the truth. And then the next thing they do is they go, okay, well, let me go look in a book for the basis of this truth. Let me prove it in a book. Who writes the books? The winners, and I call it, air quote winners, write history. Well, we know that the controllers that are not benevolent, and they wrote us into a history full of lies. So why would you take an intuitive, direct energy download that comes into your being via yourself or someone else and try to find some sort of supportive document that proves it? You're not, because it doesn't exist there. Because if it was allowed to exist there, we would not need the Great Awakening. So tapping into your intuition, that is your vast library of truth. It lives within you. Calling on the angels, the archangels, the ascendant master, source creator, Mother Sophia, guides, emissaries of the collective that have a benevolent message to add to this September 2025 energy forecast. Okay. Highest and best good for the collective. My crown is totally lit up. All this information coming through is awesome. Clarity in the chaos. Yes, in chaos, your intuition brings clarity. Trust it. I think a lot of us are feeling this right now. But those that are new to tapping into your intuition because your whole life you've been living to the listening to the noise, say, oh, that's just your butterflies. Suck it up, buttercup. There's nothing to worry about. You're just scared. You got to push through. All of that does is push you into scenarios and situations where your body was telling you it's not for you. So pull back. Let's do a reset of that and tap into your intuition. Think about the top 3 instances, events where your intuition, your gut was saying, this does not feel right. Did you listen or did you ignore it? And if you did either one of those, what was the outcome? That is your truth. When you really discern that skill, when you practice the skill of discernment using your intuition, you develop a level that is what I call unfuckwithable because it cannot be manipulated. Your gut and your intuition cannot be manipulated. Not like your mind, because of the ego and because of all the things that are sent to our mind deliberately. Our heart, it's just too vulnerable at times where it gets hurt and then you build walls and then you don't want to be hurt again. So then you don't feel. So it has a lot of nuances there that may sway the truth. Your gut is where you really want to focus your attention. If you are truly confused about things, go outside, put your feet on the ground and ask for the truth to come in through your being, through your body, and feel into it in your gut. You got to bypass the mind. So whenever you're going through chaotic situations, you want to tap into your gut intuition and bypass the mind. Trust your path. No matter the obstacles, follow your intuition and it will lead the way. Yeah, we do get guidance from our intuition all along in our life. No matter what we're choosing or how bogged down we are in our chakras, we can still get intuitive guidance. It's what we do with it. Most of the time, as humans, we ignore it because we're taught to ignore it in school. But whenever you tap into it, the universe is going to go, oh, finally we got her or his attention. Now we have to prove that this intuition thing it's valid, it's worth giving some time and energy to. And they're going to double down on it. They're going to give you another intuitive push and they want you to follow through with that. It just takes a couple of instances where you're unsure of what to do, where you truly tap into your inner gnosis and your gut, and your intuition, and you follow that when you make your decision and you let the logic go and you let the ego be quiet. You ignore it and you see the difference that decision-making process brings to your life. Higher vibrations, keeping your vibrations high and your intuition will stay sharp. This is where your free will choice comes in, right? So you've got all these things coming into your vortex. You're just like in the middle of this information storm. Is it all for you? Probably not. 9 times out of 10, all the things that are being thrown at you are a distraction. They're meant to go, let's see what this person's going to do with all this information. Are they going to feel the need to go through all of it and wade through the mud and the muck? Or are they going to tap into their intuition and they're going to go, 99% of this is not for me. There's this one little piece of valid, benevolent, higher consciousness information that I'm going to pick from it, and I'm going to let the rest of it go because it's just not mine. Now, you don't see this a lot in people that live off of the data streams, right? They cannot function outside of mainstream media and social media. You see this a lot with people that have the ability to put their phone down and go for a walk and do not act like the world is ending. I'll leave it up to you to discern where you fall in that. Intuitive healing. Your intuition guides you toward deeper inner healing. Absolutely. And, whenever we are tapped into that intuition, you're not going to find that you feel sick as much or that you feel broken as much because you're realizing that the sensations, let's just give it a context. When the energy spikes and you get nauseous and you're purging your gut and because you're detoxing things that no longer serve you and you no longer have a real appetite, but you're just craving water. Well, none of those things are necessarily bad. And all of them tend to be temporary and coincide with the energy spikes. And your intuition says, no, this is what we need to do. We need to allow this process to play out because we are literally detoxing our body from things that no longer serve our highest and best good. And whenever it's gone, we're going to feel a whole lot better. You don't get in your car, drive over to the ER and go, I've got all these random symptoms and I know, what's wrong with me? Well, pay attention to your words. It's nothing wrong with you. You're actually responding the way bodies are supposed to respond to higher energy influxes that are sent to us so that you can download the codes to help you evolve and detox from things that have kept you suppressed. So that is a matter of perspective. If you're constantly thinking that you're sick because everything that you discern as not normal, you send you off to the doctor, that's exactly where you're going to live. And I venture to ask you, are you better? Are you better because you've become a cog in the wheel of the healthcare system? Probably not. You're busier, you have less money and a lot more prescriptions, but are you better? Okay. Now we're going to go to angels and ancestors. Remove all negative energy from this deck. You will see some of your favorite ascendant masters in this deck. And it may be an ascendant master group that you're really familiar with, and it may be some that you've never heard of before. We just let the energies, let them flow. Calling in the angels, the archangels, the ascendant master, source creator, Mother Sophia, spirit animals and guides, planetary guides and emissaries. What is the highest and best message for the collective, September 25? Highest and best for the collective. Okay. Oh, it's grand. White buffalo calf woman. The card is peacekeeper. A harmonious resolution is possible. So my soul grandmother is white buffalo calf woman. Harmonious resolution is possible. I'm going to tap into her right now. Gran, if you want to give me the message for the collective, since I pulled your card in this oracle reading, I will channel it to them now. And I'll hold my pendulum while I receive her message. If I get any part of it wrong, it's gonna go like it is now. This is a no. While I channel Gran, as long as I'm getting the message correctly, it should continue to be in a circle. White buffalo calf woman. We feel deeply the energies that are moving through the collective now. The herd is on a massive shift. And as always, they walk into the storm. They don't lay down and play dead. You are a part of the herd. You are being asked to face your fear, walk into the storm, because the sooner you face that storm, the quicker it ends. A harmonious resolution is always possible. It's not just because it's September 2025. It's a matter of free will choice. Am I going to choose the harmonious resolution of my being or not? This collective reading is really about your inner storm, facing your inner fears. Fear is not real. You face your fears and it dissolves with your strength. That is my message to you. There will be many storms that come up, especially in this month. It will increase over the year. As you face your fear and you face those storms, you will find blue skies and rainbows at the other end, just like the herd that walks into the storm. Do you have anything else, Gran? Okay, that was her message for you. I could not do it better. Okay, fire guardian, ignite your passion. So this is for your, your fire signs, but also going back to dragons, we are born with a fire dragon as our protectors, as our guides. You can figure out your fire dragon's name. You can sit in clarity with your feet on the ground and ask, what is my fire dragon's name? And the first thing that comes to your mind, trust it. Is that your name? You should feel a resonance of a yes within your being and call them in. You can also tune into your fire element or the element of fire, even if it's not yours, by just lighting a candle and staring into the flame. And then asking for your fire guardian to come and show you what is highest and best for you. Everyone's going to have a different message. So I'm going to leave that one up to you to discern. But overall, your fire is going to burn through what no longer serves you. It's going to burn through mimicry. It's going to burn through the lies. It's going to burn through the distortions. And what is left it's going to look a lot different than what it starts out as. But what is left is the truth, is your inner flame, that inner fire. Hermit, retreat and recharge. Absolutely. If you're in the beginning of your journey, or you're in the middle of your journey, or you've been on this journey for years and years and years, and you're still feeling in this now moment that there's so much energy around you that it's hard to discern which direction is up, it's time to retreat and recharge. It's time to pull in the stakes, so to speak. Stop receiving so much energy from outside of you and go within. So this is asking you to quiet the noise, stop engaging in so much exterior energy, whether it be TV, social media, people in person. Quiet down your system and then discern from there. Do you need to do some clearings? Have you picked up some distortions? Have you acquired some mimic overlays because of where you've been or what you've been engaged in? Clear things out and then meditate and start to really get back to the truth of you. That helps you navigate this now moment, because again, it's not going to get slower or quieter. This is going to continue to ramp up because we are approaching the shift. When we get closer and closer to that, things are moving quicker and quicker. So it's better to have a practice in place for whenever you start to feel overwhelmed, that you can reset and rebalance. Seer, see beyond the current situation. This is actually a really good representation of how I meditate, because I do see, I have clairvoyance, and many times in meditation, my eyes are open, but I'm seeing through my third eye. And so I always will put a drape or something over my physical eyes so that when they open, nothing in the environment can pull me away from my meditation concentration and focus. But whenever you're meditating, whether it's cutting the grass or swimming or traditional meditation, as long as you're focusing your energy, you're meditating. And many of us meditate in non-traditional ways. So if you think, oh, I can never sit still for that long, well, that's fine. You don't have to sit still. You can be out in the yard, working on your flowers or looking up at the sky, whatever it happens to be. If you're focused on something, that is your meditation, and your truth and messages will come to you. So invent your own way of being your own seer, of seeing beyond what they're showing you, because we all know now that what they've been showing us for hundreds and hundreds of years was what they wanted us to believe. It wasn't necessarily the truth. Most situations, it was absolutely fabricated and the inversion of truth. So look beyond that and realize that you're in a bit of a vulnerable situation, right? Because we're coming out of what we thought we knew, letting all that go, shuffling the cards of our life because they really no longer hold weight, and redefining what is in our highest and best good. You got to look deeper to do that. You can't just look on the surface. So you want to be your own seer. Also, if you feel like you need some help interpreting things, I do these energy signature readings for people, as long as you have a soul, and I can tap into your energy. This is totally bypassing the ego. This is not a situation where you come up with 3 questions and I answer them in 30 minutes. No, I tap into your energy signature and I see and sense and feel what is the current situation, what is the current environment there, and then give you the video just like this is. So maybe you're getting a seer card because you haven't been able to make a decision in what you're sensing and feeling in your environment. Maybe you do need a little bit of help. I'm happy to do that. If you want that, just respond to the message. Now we're going to get the messages from the fairies. Most of us have some fairy lineage. Mine is very, very small, but I'm surrounded by so many fairies that I'm really actually thankful that I have it, because it helps me navigate that path. Remove all negative energy from this deck. I'll call in the angels, the archangels, the elementals, the dragons. What is the highest and best message for the collective, September 2025? And this is our last deck for this energy forecast. Highest and best for the collective. Okay. Patience, please. What you're asking for is coming. It's coming about. Have patience, as there are unseen factors that need to play out first. Patience, please. This is part of the, I call it like the Burger King mentality of the collective. They want what they want when they want it, and they want it usually right now. The ability to have patience in your own life is essential. You have to have patience with yourself. You have to have patience with other beings. And you have to let go of the fact that we control everything, because we actually control very little. What we have control over is our free will choice. That's it. The universe has so many different timelines happening at the same time. They're all parallel. They're all like the multiverse. So you make a free will choice to rush something along because that, in your mind, in your ego, quiets things. It makes you feel like you're so super productive, but you have missed the essence of the decision. So you have jumped on a lower frequency timeline and you're riding it down the path. The other scenario is there's a decision to be made, and the noise in your mind from your ego is very loud, but you don't resonate with any of that. Now you quiet your ego down, you go sit outside and you let that decision come from inside your gut. That's whenever you jump on the higher timeline and you ride that up. Having patience to allow that process play out is really important. As a collective, we want things faster all the time. And when you get things that are always fast, you're sacrificing the complete picture, you're sacrificing quality, and you're sacrificing clarity. Sun. Your son is watched over, protected as he explores the world. And I feel for right now, this is coming through because as a collective, we're worried about our children, right? We don't want to see them suffer. And we as a collective feel like we've been suffering for so long. But I want to give you this. Every soul that comes into incarnating on Earth School, aka the planet Earth, has a soul contract. They're not always pretty. Matter of fact, most of them are not pretty. However, in the moment, staying in the now, that means not worrying about the past all the time and not focusing on the future because the future has yet to be written. When we stay in the now, that's where the beauty and the magic and the miracle is. So as your son or daughter is navigating life from the time that they arrive, they are already higher consciousness beings and they are more connected to source than we are now in general because they just left them. They're usually not new souls coming in. They're old souls that have had many, many, many lives and they have a ton of wisdom to share. And they will if you allow it. So that is the push that I'm feeling right now is don't think you know more than a 1 or a 2-year-old just because of chronological age. It's not wisdom that they need from a textbook because we've established that textbooks are full of lies. They come through with spiritual, energetic truth of the universe. And they can navigate much easier with clarity and because they're following their clairabilities, they're following their intuition. They're so close to that energy that they actually have a lot to teach us and the universe is watching over them. So don't allow yourself to become paralyzed in fear. Live in the now and really, really take hold of the fact that every now moment is literally steering your future. So if you are in the now moment making higher consciousness choices, then you remain higher consciousness and you ride that all the way up. Summer. Everything that you're asking for becomes yours in the summertime. Now, obviously, we're in fall. This is a September 2025 reading. So if you're asking for some things right now and they're not happening, it could be because it's not the time for them to happen. That this coming summer will be when they come through. But you have got between now and then to prepare. So use that time wisely. Last card of this reading, vegetarian. A new way of eating gives you more energy, greater health, clarity, and stronger manifestation abilities. And this is a huge push because it does connect you to the earth and you're bypassing a lot of actual negative energy. And I'm just going to give you a personal story. I used to eat mostly meat because my body, when it was full of distortions and my chakras were blocked, really only functioned well with meat, with low density, high density, low vibration food. I ate vegetables, but I didn't have a whole lot of carbs, and I was also eating sugar. That was a long time ago. Over time, I've let go of things as my body changed. Now, when I went through 3 years ago, when I went through a huge clearing and I really did like a 180, I no longer wanted meat. And the one thing that I continued to crave was bacon. Do you have a bacon craving or addiction? Well, pork is the lowest frequency food that you can eat. And if you're trying to be a higher frequency individual and you're thinking, well, the only thing I ever eat that's meat is bacon or maybe some other type of pork product, you're really doing yourself a disservice. Well, I couldn't let go of that. I asked for Source to release me of that craving and it was done. And now I only tap into turkey here and there. And here and there, I'll have a little bit of chicken if I know that it's sourced um, well. Otherwise, it's all vegetables and no sugar. So, as you evolve and as your frequency rises, I will tell you that most people's dietary habits just organically change. It's not even something you have to try to do, it just happens because they align. They truly align. When your higher frequency body is hungry, you're going to crave higher frequency foods. It's very, very rare that a higher frequency body and being is going to crave something that's really, really low frequency. Okay. I hope you've enjoyed this reading. It was pretty comprehensive. If you're interested in an energy signature oracle reading, just respond to this message and I'll be happy to work that out for you. Have a blessed 2025 fall, and I'll see you next time.